I'm a man who believed that I died 20 years ago, and I live like a man who is dead already. I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Gary Webb. I am an investigative journalist, and in 1996, I wrote a series of stories entitled Dark Alliance, which was about CIA involvement in drug trafficking.
I knew a man who once said death smiles at us all. All a man can do is smile back.
We've both been skull and bone, the secret society.
It's so secret we can't talk about it.
What does that mean for America? The conspiracy theorists are going to go
I'm
on.
sure they are. I don't know. I haven't seen the rest.
Number 322.
I sad duty to report this afternoon that my friend and colleague, Tim Russert, collapsed and died early this afternoon.
I may die in this cell tonight or in the arena tomorrow. I am a slave. What possible difference can I make?
And no official of my administration, whether his rank is high or low, civilian or military, should interpret my words here tonight as an excuse to censor the news, to stifle dissent, to cover up our mistakes, or to withhold from the press and the public the facts they deserve to know.
Muted. You're
Man,
muted,
I did it again. I don't know what. Man, guys, all right. Welcome to another Are Dead. This is Jose Galison. Austin is out today. He's not feeling so hot. We got Jules joining us.
What's up,
and
guys?
we got William Ramsey again joining us on the show. Actually, he'll be back 2 weeks from now because when Austin was like, I don't think I can make it today, he was like, I wanted to do this again. So we will have William back on in a couple weeks. And then this time, because last time we had William on, it was I actually think I was sick or something. And then so is Jules and Austin. Now it's me and Jules, and next time it'll be me and Austin. So whatever, we're doing every possible configuration. William, it's a pleasure to have you back. We are in the season of the spook season. How are things going over with you these days?
Just trying to stay alive, not getting burnt down in California. So avoiding fires and incompetent politicians. But other than that, I'm doing pretty good. And thanks for inviting me back. Glad to be with you.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love to have you on. Yeah, here we go. Here's Tim Tuttle. Jules finally cut alive. It's good to see you. I do want to write real quick some housekeeping. I wanted to remind you, or not remind you, I wanted to apologize for last week. I realized I brought up the call-in number the second half of the show, and then I don't know what I did. I fat-fingered something and took it down, so if there may have been people trying to call and they didn't see a number, so I wondered why there was no calls when I had Foundering on, but I will rectify that, and that will be fixed today. Also, if you guys haven't noticed, we are streaming to a ton of platforms now. We upgrade stuff, so from now on, it will be less confusing when it comes to what's going on what platform. Pretty much me and Austin are just going to be dual streaming to basically everything, unless it's something exclusively to our stuff, like one of my specific solo episodes or one of his specific solo episodes. But everything else, like the Morning Dumps, the Already Deads, going to every platform. So that way it makes it harder for you guys to miss, and it makes it way easier to plug when we go on shows like Tinfoil Hat, so we don't look like a fucking retard being confusing as hell. But yeah. Real quick, we have a new segment that we're going to be doing on the show. At the big top of the show, we have a new video promotions guy that is going to kind of make a supercut of the morning dumps we do to kind of give us a week in review. So I have a 5-minute clip for us to watch. Might have to shave that down for next week. Seems a little long, but it kind of gives us a rundown of the major events from the perspective of our coverage on the show. So a good little catch up because we are entering this weird season. As I just call it spook season, where it's hard to keep up with stuff. There's so much stuff going on. We have so many good things, so many bad things, so many confusing things. But with that, we're going to start, we'll start doing these every week to kind of have as a recap. So then you have the morning dumps that are kind of like as we go throughout, like day by day. And then we have the week in review here. So go ahead. This is also give Tim Tuttle a shout out if you like it. He's going to be the one doing my video stuff going on. But here we go. let's get into this. We're definitely going to hit the main beat of this, the Sam Altman stuff. I've been telling you guys, Altman, Oracle, Ellison, OpenAI, all the different shit. I would like to look into the kind of the especially kind of the basics, the kind of the who the fuck are these people type stuff. So if any of you guys see threads, articles, etc., videos, whatever that kind of give us insight into that, feel free to tag me, put it in the Rumble chat, whatever. Because I am that is something I'm interested in. This is a Silva. So warrantless FISA searches are now unconstitutional. Judge said it's from Ken. The FBI released another batch of documents on the Patriot Front the day after their march. These docs show the FBI researched the group members' identities back in 2020 using a CHS, confidential human source.
I'm coming to kill you!
Border Patrol officers killed recently, which is kind of wild. Because we read that we had that other one that was, I believe, the southern border, and it was some weird German guy or something, or not German guy. I don't remember what it was. He was alleged. Teresa Cancelo, Youngblood, and Felix Bachhold received at least one of their firearms from a person of interest. Probably pause these throughout. Have you seen these at all, William? Have you seen the trans cult that's been a thing recently?
Yes, the trans murder spree. Yes.
I didn't know if you've been covering it. I know this is kind of breaking this week, it seems, but I just figured we'd as we go, because this is a little bit longer, and so just kind of a recap of the thing. So just thoughts on that. I guess cases where details match.
Well, I can tell you this: there is definitely a trans underground.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a show called Transition to Kill. So it's about the subject of transitioning and violence.
Mm-hmm.
And it is international in scope. So before this whole thing kind of, I think the guy's name is Andy No, NGO, has been covering it. But before this whole trans murder spree died, there was somebody who's going to testify. He got killed. And then another part of this group killed a border guard between Canada. Last year, I did a show on a international killer. He was known to be international, but he was a trans killer in Oxford, in the UK, and he conducted basically a smiley face killing murder. And his name was Scarlett Blake. But what's interesting about him is it's an interesting story overall. Fits all of the characteristics of a smiley face killing. Late at night, guy drunk, ends up in water. Mysterious death. Nobody knows what happens. What's interesting about that story, interesting component, is that another trans person in Austin, Texas, told the cops that this person, Scarlett Blake, confessed to doing it. These are all trans names, by the way. So a lot of these guys, their real birth names aren't known. Scarlett Blake's was never this guy who was of Asian descent. His actual birth name was never revealed, even by the judge, which is actually incredible when you think about it.
Yeah.
But it was international in scope. There's connections here. It's known that Scarlett Blake came to the United States, and it's an open question. Sometimes these guys go to jail. They get busted for one killing. Have they done other crimes? And Scarlett Blake was kind of like another guy who was trans, or very strange. He went by the name Luca Magnotta, but he was kind of famous for torturing cats. And this guy, Scarlett Blake, did the same thing. He was a cat torturer, and then he led up to human murder of a guy named Jorge Carreño. And that was a very recent case. It just got the sentencing and the criminal trial took place last year. Mm-hmm. So that is another kind of transition to kill. The interesting thing about it's an interesting case overall, but what's interesting is that the transition of this man to a woman, Scarlett Blake, took place at the Tavistock Clinic. And that clinic has been shut down and kept from doing these transitions because of their questionable efficacy and whether the outcomes are that good. And so there's a lot going on. So I've done a lot. So I'm familiar with this kind of transition to kill. And a lot of these guys, there's some violent guys out there who were men to women who say they're women. The facts that I know and the facts that I've heard, that a lot of these people who are supposedly transition, they still have their genitals. So they dress like a woman, but they're men. They have, they didn't get their testicles and penis cut off.
Yeah. I will say, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I was just going to comment that I did see, covering this trans cult, like on the show, on the morning show, I did notice, it took me I actually read multiple articles before I totally sorted out what the hell was even going on. And one of the main crux of the issue was the name thing. It was hard to figure out who, for one, this person connected to that person, this person connected to that act, that thing. And then on top of that, now you have to keep track of who's who, who's what. Like, you're like, oh, what name's this? Like, at least for me, I mean, maybe it's a struggle for me, but that is one thing. I found something about the nature of the names and who's what sex and this. It makes it harder to keep track of what the fuck is going on. At least, maybe it was just because it's such a confusing situation with the Zizian cult is what they're calling it.
Yeah, it's confusing as heck. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah. All right.
But the guy's name is Jack Minnesota. I mean, he faked his own death.
Yes.
So, like, this is very complex stuff. Like, these guys are acting strange, and there were things that happened at a camp in California. One of the interesting things about this case that kind of coincides with my research into Scarlet Blake is that one of these guys is also Asian. He's also a trans guy. He got busted for killing an 82-year-old Lind. And where is he from? He did the killing in Vallejo. He's from Oxford, UK, just like Scarlet Blake.
Oh,
so does this guy know Scarlet Blake? That's what I want to know. And are they connected? And have there been other murders tied to these guys?
I wonder if there's a connection too.
Just one of the interesting aspects of this guy, Scarlet Blake, the person who told the cops that he was a killer is online working as a tranny prostitute. So I think he's on one of these prostitute sites, but also has the regalia of the Order of 9A. He has occult kind of stuff, the militant military stuff out in the forests with the mask, with the kind of right-wing mask. So it's getting weird. It's getting very strange. Like these groups, they have like Nazi regalia, black stuff, but they're not like white supremacists. They're trans activists.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, look up Maximilian Bentley Snyder.
Yeah, and that is the main character Ziz is what I think the nickname of him was. And he's not even the only one who faked his death. I believe it was Ziz and another character. I mean, I struggle to keep track of their names. It's too hard. But yeah, I mean, I believe two of them of that group have faked their own death, which is nuts. It's a very bizarre situation. Here we also have photos in this of this past week we had the horde of Palestinians returning to Gaza, which is we're in a weird situation now where we're in this Israel wants to go back to genocide, and we have on the flip side we have Trump that wants to just kick them all out or have them move, immigrate or whatever. Whatever voluntary immigration. So we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And just before we started, there was also additionally, so I haven't had a chance. I'll probably digest it a little bit more tomorrow morning. But the idea of that, I guess supposedly he made some sort of statement about that now he wants to take over Gaza and America wants to take over Gaza, which doesn't sound like a good fucking idea to me. But just this picture alone, I feel like captures a lot the idea of all these people returning. Which, I mean, there's a little bit of I'm a little torn here because on one side it's like they're returning to hell and it may actually be worse for them, but on the other side it's also like, they're not going to let the people, they're not going to let them win, essentially. It's kind of the spirit
too, man.
Yeah. So
Trump said the American military is going to get involved in Gaza. So that's when Netanyahu was here, he made the announcement with the mass murder Benjamin. Like, that's not a war, by the way. That is a slaughter.
Yes.
And you have 2,000-pound bombs being dropped by F-35s or whatever against guys with like Kalashnikovs and Honda, trucks or whatever. That's a slaughter. They call it a war. That's a bunch of 10-7. You can just add that to the list of all false flags in human history. And if you don't think your government would sell out a couple hundred people to start a war, you're naive.
They've done it before.
Done it once, they'll do it again.
I was just reading about all the deliberations that happened before the Japanese attack on Hawaii. Like, they knew, FDR knew, like his staff, they're like, what should we do? Should we let this happen? And FDR's like, you just let it happen because it's going to happen anyway. Let's get the stuff out and let's do it. They knew it. It's a day that'll live in infamy. But a lot of people made statements about, and this is just FDR. That's just one we can talk about. The Gulf of Tonkin was completely faked. Like there was no event. Like there were no boats. So these so-called boats that attack things, they didn't even exist. He just made it up out of like thin air and said it happened. It didn't even happen.
It's funny how we're coming full circle, and I think we're, the PSYOP back then was like, oh, this thing didn't even happen, but they're at a point in history where they can just say it happened, and who the fuck's going to prove you wrong? And now we're at the flip side where it's like, now they kind of have to do things that have no proof because I think there's sleuths online like me, you, Austin, that will like tear up their shit if they do dumb stuff. So they, that's I think why this, we're looking at I think the blue beam might be something similar along those lines coming soon because it's like so easy to get away with. You just have a few lights in the sky. You make up a few stories. Who's going to prove you wrong? I mean, you control the airspace. You can kind of make up whatever you want, frame it to your liking. But yeah, that is. I thought that was kind of interesting. The idea of the Gulf of Tonkin was completely made up, but we've kind of come full circle where that's kind of. I think we're getting to a point where that might be the sort of psyops they have to do in the future. Is stuff that's kind of I don't know. There's not any physical evidence one way or the other. So
yeah. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible stuff, like what they've gotten away with. And Trump this is obviously the war hasn't ended in Ukraine, and now the U.S. is going to go into Gaza. Like, what the heck is going on?
Yeah,
and that's just tying us even more into the Middle East. Like, that's why the Knights of Malta is important because these are the people surrounding him are literal. Like, it's not believable. You think it's fiction, but these are the offspring. Heritage of the Crusaders. They're literally Crusaders.
Oh, 100%.
So Hegseth, it literally has, who's the new Secretary of Defense,
the Templar Cross.
Jerusalem Cross on his chest.
Wow.
Yeah, we'll definitely get into that later because we definitely want to touch on the Knights of Malta stuff. It's returning back to Gaza. And there was we talked about it a little bit yesterday. We're probably not going to talk about too much today, but we talked about it a little bit yesterday. We showed this photo that was kind of like, I guess, sort of inspiring in a sense, depending on how you look at it. And then I just saw, I believe it was yesterday, you shared it again, a different one, a more zoomed out one, and it's even more insane.
Jesus Christ. Why'd you give me this fucking thing? I thought this was airsoft. I'm never doing that again in my life. Holy shit.
Is the governor of California who was just appointed to rebuild I don't know if you saw this, William.
Nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, this is over at your home. This guy, I mean, I guess we covered on the show that this guy has flown on the old Lolita Express. So surprise, surprise. And he's one of your rebuilders over there in Cali. So,
yeah, great.
Yes.
So great. What a
yeah.
They're going to rebuild with equity. Whenever you hear the word equity, somebody's going to get screwed hard. And that's what they're going to do. Those people lost millions. Like, it's a $250 billion total loss. And nobody has said sorry, taken blame, or quit. It says everything about Bass, who's very suspiciously won her mayor race, and the recall of Gavin Nero Newsom was suspicious too. Like, nobody likes him, but somehow he squeaks out these wins. It's really weird how that happens. The Democratic Party has about a third, according to certain polls, you got to question them. Democratic Party has about a 31% approval rating, but they seem to find total almost parity with the Republican Party in voting. How does that happen?
Yeah, it's funny. I actually was listening this morning, and I almost tweeted it out just because I thought it was funny. You said, anytime you hear equity, someone's about to get raped, and I just thought it was a funny little succinct quote. I don't know how what made you think of that, but I thought it was funny.
Well, because I remember North Carolina. It's the same thing happened in North Carolina. They didn't do anything. Trump, to his credit, released $2 billion worth of funds, but they said they weren't going to refurbish it due to equity. That's the people who ran our country for 4 years. What does this mean?
Yeah, we gotta be
You're
equal.
incompetent and stupid. Everybody knows there's fires in LA. They just had one in 2017. They didn't do anything to prevent another fire. They actually started making fire zones and things like that once this fire started, but it's too late. They're total losers. These are totally incompetent losers. A lot of these, they're talking about competency now because they're realizing once Trump is in office, there's so much loss and waste. There were I think in the Department of the Treasury, there were no pushbacks on requests for money, which means that I could have sent them a freaking bill for underwater basket weaving classes for $50 million, they would have sent it out. It's just total incompetence and corruption, just total waste of money. We're about to go bankrupt. So, I mean, here in California, if you get what you get because of fraud. So many of these races have been flat out stolen, and that's why they put Kamala Harris, in my opinion, into this thing, is because her political history is totally bizarre. Like, she did the same thing. Like, she's losing, and then all of a sudden, middle of the night, hey, we got enough votes, you're in. Like, crazy. So these are not the vote system in the United States is a ridiculous joke. And a lot of the people who are in office shouldn't be in office. They've stolen the elections. I'm sorry.
Let's keep going. Chairperson, and you can see in this photo, you may recognize these two individuals.
Strengthening of Al-Qaeda and other Islamist jihadist groups, and strengthening Iran.
You know, the confirmations going on right now, dog and pony shows. It's just weird how the world works. Weird little things. But anyways, he did a Substack surveillance recording show OKC bombings as a post he made. Here's the video. I mean, we'll go into the thing. It's down here, but he's got a couple videos before we go into it. Here's Danny Coulson, who I've told you guys about. As you can see here, objection overruled. Go ahead. For most politicians to have anyways. Here is
on 10-7 right here.
Here's something from Boltzmann Booty. Adina Moshe, one of the old ladies that was taken prisoner by Hamas on October 7th and then released the next month, says, I claimed and continue to claim that this was treason. Some high-ranking official or some person was very connected to the army, decided to do something. I think we've solved it. According to Fox News, the pilot in command of the military helicopter involved in last night's crash near D.C. was a woman. We solved the guys. All right. That's it. We figured on the crash things. That would be probably a good spot to stop and jump off of. There was multiple crashes in the past week. We had the Philly one. I don't know to what extent you were following that, William, but I will say that one did I did end up finding that one to be lacking. In our realm, a lot of people were assuming that was a missile. I was one of the ones initially was like, that looks a lot like a missile to me. And then there were more videos that came out later that was very clear. You could see blinking lights and the outline of a plane. We also had the helicopter one that we just referenced there, where the one ran into it. This was a Black Hawk. There were a lot of talks about this being a continuity of government exercise, which I kind of dug in that a little bit. And I don't know, from my experience of being in the military in the past, it didn't really look like anything. It kind of looked like maybe just one of those things where a civilian person looks at something and they go, "Oh my God, this looks awful," and you're like, "I don't know, this is kind of just generic shit they do. Like, I don't know, there's nothing crazy going on here." They do military exercises. There was that one as well. Did you have any particular thoughts on any of the crashes? I mean, they were obviously tragic, but I mean, I don't know so far as like on the conspiracy side of things. Was there anything particular? I know they did kind of especially with the military when they tried to scoot it off as some sort of DEI something or other. Obviously I was joking in there about there being a chick being the helicopter pilot. I mean, I think that might be might be overdoing it because I don't know. I think DEI is kind of an easy knee-jerk Republican answer to everything. But I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that? Have you found anything on there? I did find it particularly interesting on the Blackhawk side. I think we did find out around this time that they've already figured out ways to make Blackhawks remote, so that's a possibility if they were to do that. Not that I'm saying they did. I don't know. But definitely a lot of weirdness surrounding that. I just don't know if there's anything in there that you found particularly interesting before we move on from that.
Well, there was supposedly a continuity of government exercise happening. So why was that continuity of government exercise happening at night involving these people? And it obviously, I don't even call it DEI. It's DIE because it's the death of civilization. And it goes back, I think they were understaffed. It's that serious. It's not a joke. Like, they're putting stupid people in to places where they shouldn't even be just for color of their skin. They're not competent. They're not basically competent. I think that we have to go back through and get people like, I'm going to call it the hot dog vendor test, which we give them a hot dog vending machine like an immigrant has. And I want to see them count coins. I want to see them do change, sales, keep enough money for upkeep, just so they can do fundamentally basic things, because some of those people can't do it. And they can't even show up for work. They have double jobs. So they're double dipping a lot. It's just insane. So that's why, and my understanding too from that event that happened in DC is they were understaffed at the flight tower because of DIE. They don't want to hire white people. So it really does mean like screw white people over. So it's happening right in front of your face. They're replaced, like the whole replacement myth isn't a myth. Like it's obviously happening. They just lie and gaslight about everything. So fighting for your lives. And it's really a matter of life and death because that incompetence, they've had flight towers and air traffic controllers for decades. And screwing up the system like that is a matter of life and death.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, that's what is it? Air traffic controllers think have like the number one rate of suicide or something nonsense. It is a crazy job. So you can't be having anyone that's.
It's a matter of life and death. That's why they're well paid too.
Yes,
and not everybody
money.
can do that job. So
yeah, military is like a $90,000 like signing bonus or some shit for air traffic controllers. They try to keep them suckers. But all right, let's keep going with this. Figured it out. We don't need to do this shit anymore. Obviously, he isn't like an ongoing threat. I was just going to like look. They made an infographic that's made this more. Because those who've been following my coverage, it was
more Jocko. I would fucking kick Jocko Willing's ass.
Testable sand nigger.
Plane crash says Joey poop bag. Perhaps I have no idea.
Yep, there's.
All right, guys. Make sure you guys are over there hitting that like button. All right. Let me see. All right, here we go. Here is from one of you guys. He says, I was just talking about continuity of government yesterday in different contexts. My buddy Black Eye, General Milley was in charge of continuity of government at some point. If
maybe a videotape. Maybe Barack Obama is gay.
So,
maybe.
Information provided by the FBI's confidential source, NBC. Oh, there's a video. You can see it. Obviously, I don't know if you've analyzed this one. You can see it in the top right hand corner if you have it zoomed in. Let me see. Oh. There it doesn't. Continuity of government.
Maybe a videotape. Maybe.
Guys, there we go. See it? You guys see it? Top right hand corner there. You can follow it. You can see it real good.
Top right there.
Oh, excellent. You close it. Right, very top right of the thing. They say that Ukraine during the war received $200 billion to support the army, etc. But I just thought this. All right, the pause on that one. The $100 billion to Ukraine. This has happened in the past week too. We've given them almost $200 billion, and somehow $100 billion of it went disappeared. Now, my kind of way to write it off in my head is I think it's likely. Probably just that much bloat in government. I mean, don't get me wrong, there are definitely people on the take, stuffing money in their pockets along the way. But I think some of that is just kind of part and parcel with how this works. Like if you give aid to some other country, well, some entity has to then move that thing to there, and then someone, all these people have to put it together. And every one of these people are contracted by the government usually, and so now they're getting a cut along the way, and then that counts as part of the aid is my guess. I don't know if you have any particular thoughts on the absolute insane amount of money. Like literally, according to him, more money than essentially $100 billion went missing, and he supposedly only got $75 billion is what he claimed. So more money disappeared than got used in this war effort. I mean, either way, it's all getting money thrown into the fire. But either way, I don't know. Just something about that just adds a little bit of insult to injury.
Yeah, it's just another scam on the taxpayer, just like what happened in the Afghanistan, withdrawal. They lost $80 billion worth of goods that could have been refurbed or taken out of there. So they're just run by total losers. Like these are shit people. These are garbage people. And it's just infuriating to see the incompetence and stupidity. That's really what it's really about. It's just stupid. You shouldn't be in a position of power if you're stupid. Take an IQ test. And this USA, I mean, this is a good excuse after 3 years of a war that we're literally at the edge of nuclear war. Like the American public doesn't understand how serious it is. But because we invaded Russia, the cursed offensive is an invasion of Russia. But to see this guy grift and say, well, I just lost the money just like a good con man would is amazing. Like, oh, I just tell you now, yeah, we lost half of it. Well, it's lost. He's probably got billions of dollars in, Luxembourg Bank and all this stuff.
Yeah.
How stupid is this? Like the people who engineered this war, it's a war. Ukraine is not an independent state. It's 100% held up by the United States. We're paying for like people's pensions and the police there and all that stuff. Your tax dollars work. People love this nonsense. Absolutely. Like I'm surprised there's not like marches in the streets over this. Mm-hmm. It just shows how passive and weak the average American really is, and they like to get scammed. I think they just like to get scammed because this is all this is. It's one big scam. COVID was a scam. the draw from Ukraine, with Ukraine war is a scam. It's just everything's a grift. There isn't anything that isn't a grift.
It's all just a line in people's pockets. It's all
And
literally
they,
just
I
a
mean,
money
they did
game.
something unheralded. The Biden administration didn't pardon somebody for a crime. They just said a blanket pardon for anything you did. Like, it's not constitutional.
Multiple
So
people,
whether
I
that's
think.
going to hold up in a court of law, we still have a functioning court, because they may be full of DIE morons who blew the election and blew a lot of the censorship cases, which could be concerning and should have riots in the street over that as well.
Yep.
Which also is another additional thing to show how dumb and passive the American people are. But these are things like they may not even get resolved because of the country's it's going to rot from the inside is really what's going to happen. And a lot of these people are going to make decisions not based on the cold, dispassionate application of the rule of law, but on stupid precepts like racism, equity, or, was it like this? The system's rotten anyway, so I can just do whatever I want. Just like all these cases against Trump, which were a joke. They're joke cases. A rape case is a joke.
No,
She
absolutely.
accused 20 people of rape. She's crazy. Like, I would have just if I was a judge, I would just go, "You're a crazy lady. What really happened? Why
Didn't
didn't
she
you come to the
fantasize
police?"
about it? Like she was going on about like almost like romanticize the rape, like
She
from
probably
Trump.
does. I
Yeah.
bet a lot of these people, these women with these hysterics, they actually do fantasize about Trump. They think he's a type A, powerful guy, something probably they've never been around. And that's really the secret. The secret thing is like, oh, I really do actually like a strong man. And that's why they're really howling. That's my psychological take.
That's good. Please.
Because they're all women.
Oh,
all
sorry.
these people like having meltdowns and stuff. It's not, there might be one or two gay guys there, but it's all women.
a lot of gay guys there.
I've seen it elsewhere, but this is a newer one. He said this on X in response to the whole USAID thing. He said most governments don't want USAID funds flowing into their.
All right, I think there was the script, the picture here. I don't know if there was an issue or if there was a confusion, but the picture here is we were going into the Vance stuff. So this is a good spot to jump off of and go to the Vance stuff. This is one thing I wanted to dig into with the Knights of Malta, which I guess we'll probably back up here in a second and kind of introduce the audience into the idea of the Knights of Malta and what they are. But right now, I just wanted to kind of get your thoughts on J.D. Vance, because over this week I did actually do a little bit of a dig into him, and apparently, if you look into his conversion to Catholicism, he directly attributes it to Peter Thiel. And if you look at it was something like, I want to say like well over 5 years previous to the actual conversion. It was like he said he saw him in like a speech in college or something. Which, by the way, for those, I guess he wrote his book in college in 2011, around that same time. So shortly after that, I guess he said he got some sort of blurb from Peter Thiel. So this is like the beginning of their relationship. And then I think years later, then he made some sort of claim that he was looking into running, and then he didn't run that year. And then the next year he did run. But in the meantime, between him proposing, thinking about running, and running, he converted to Catholicism and then gets $100 million from, or 10 million, I think. Maybe it was 10 million from Peter Thiel for his race there, and he ended up winning. So I thought that that to me looked something akin to, obviously that could have been a completely legit conversion. Maybe he really did, something like 5 years prior to his actual thing. Peter Thiel planted that seed in his head that then bloomed later to be like, Catholicism's the right thing or whatever. But it kind of feels
he's in
like
good company in this administration. There's no question about it.
But it feels like an initiation. Does that not feel like it to me? Like, sure, we'll hook you up, but you need to be a Catholic, or at least forward-facing Catholic. I don't know,
Absolutely. This guy's willing to do a lot, change his name, do a lot of stuff. He works with Thiel, who's really a remarkable guy, but some interesting ideas that he has. There's no question about it. But he's running kind of like his own kind of nursery of talent in business and in politics. He's very much involved, and just his connection to Musk and all these other characters. But Thiel is really his guy. So. And Thiel, is connected to Eric Prince. They're buddies, and it ties into Malta, believe it or not. So I think this whole Catholic thing, like you're going to see in this administration, there's not as many Jews as there was in Trump's 2016 to 2020 administration, but there's a lot more kind of Catholic Christians and things like that.
Yeah. which is weird.
I only think there's one Jewish guy in this administration, Lutnick, which is, or in his son, I guess it's, his son-in-law. Excuse me,
Kushner.
Yeah. We also went a little bit into advance. I also found it interesting. Not that it necessarily relates to Knights of Malta, but I found it particularly interesting. I've kind of dug into some other characters too and dispelled because we have this. I feel like people have this idea of certain characters. People think of J.D. Vance. They think meager upbringing, salt of the earth, became a Marine, like hoorah, kind of badass Marine guy because he just kind of comes from that, like that type of strata of people that would kind of have like a knuckle dragon kind of badass, dip in his mouth type, Marine or whatever. And then from there, then he went to school. And then he kind of his first race or whatever, he kills it. And so it's kind of like it just kind of has a certain tinge to it. But then when you look into it, you're like, and I don't even necessarily saying this is a bad thing, but apparently he was a reporter. Like he was a reporter in the military. So he went to, I believe, military, then college, but he was and he went from military to Yale. And then, so the idea of this, to some extent it's true. I do believe he probably, did come from a meager upbringing, but I think a lot of the way he's framed is kind of almost creating a Paul Bunyan story. Not that it's like, that it's outlandish. I mean, there are people who are the knuckle dragging Marines, but it's just, they try to give you the salt of the earth. And to some extent it's true, but I just find it interesting. It's the same idea that when I dug into the Vivek, you find out like, oh, like he comes from money. Like he's a lot of he kind of seems to have gotten rich off some sort of pump and dump scheme. You're like, okay, like, I don't know.
I think that's proven.
Which is like, I don't know. I mean, maybe you can find ways to explain it, but you're not this like, oh, I've just by the hair of my teeth and by like, just pulling up my bootstraps and being really smart and doing really good business moves or whatever that I somehow am killing it. And you're like, yeah, sure, sort of, maybe some of that, but a lot of it's just like, no, you got a shitload of money from your mom, your friends, you played, seemed like you played the corporate games and came out on top. So I don't know. I just find it funny how there are these people out there that we have these ideas of, and then what they really are maybe might not be exactly how they're portrayed to us. For example, this actually brings to mind Zelensky. I was thinking about when we were talking about a little bit ago. Piers Morgan somebody was giving him shit about like saying that he said Zelensky was a hero recently, and then he was like, and then he said, I still stand by that. Like anyone, in his position, he could have left. And, anyone in his position would have left when Russia invaded. And you're like, what? Like, I don't know. Have you ever paid attention to any foreign, like, conflict ever? Like, the kings and queens, just like on the chessboard, are, like, the most valuable pieces. They almost never get fucked with. Like, so, and even then, the idea where we look at chess and we go, oh, the whole point is to get the king. You're like, that's not even really good at representation of how war works. It's really, we just kill a bunch of peasants and then maybe come to some sort of terms eventually. Like, no one, the powerful don't ever die. So the idea that, like, that Zelensky would be feared for his life, would need to leave Russia is kind of fucking retarded, in my opinion. I don't know.
He was always a puppet.
Exactly.
And so is Piers Morgan. He's like he's a BBC guy who's okayed by the king, the royalist. He's a royalist, so he's going to just BS and take the party line for anything. The guy's a total joke. Yeah. I don't even care. I don't know why anybody cares whatever he says.
Yeah.
He's just going to do whatever, all the lies and the bullshit baloney. And there's some, you should look up. I doubt that video's around, but you should see what somebody said about him and his kind of secret room at his mansion. It's a pretty interesting story.
Wait, who is that? Who's that?
Piers Morgan.
Oh, Piers Morgan's secret. Okay, shit. I'll definitely have to look into that for sure.
I'll see if I can find that video. Yeah, but he's yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Zelensky was installed. He didn't win by the vote. He shut down the vote. He got rid of all the other political parties. He's basically an autocrat who they feed cocaine to. And he was a former comedian. Like, the guy's literally wag the dog joke. And I don't know why anybody believes that he's done anything noble. He's a figurehead for these USAID joke clowns.
He's an actor.
Victoria and Leland. They filled up all of the cemeteries there with millions of dead bodies. And they are total monsters. And I think it's all part of their grift, is that they're going to depopulate that, and then they can own all the land and all the natural resources of Ukraine in perpetuity, because all these big companies have made investments there, Blackstone and Vanguard. My understanding, Vanguard's a front for the royals, the British and a lot of these old royal families. So it's just one big ugly scam, and anybody who thinks that these guys are talking honestly, that they're puppeteers, they probably have more strings attached to them, figuratively, than your standard puppet, like a marionette. Like, it's a total joke. Like, they're just propping these people out. It's just slop. Like, nobody should believe these guys. They're literal actors, and a lot of this is kind of strange. Time back to Vance, like, you wonder how much independence Vance really has.
Yes.
And somebody pays your stuff, just like Trump. Like, he's in power, but Miriam Adelson gave him $100 million. He pushed in her chair, and then Netanyahu shows up today. The U.S. military is going to go in and fix Gaza, which is going to be impossible. I would expect American military men to die, but he pushes in the chair for his overlord Netanyahu, whose real name is Milikovsky, whose dad wrote books about Zionism. So.
All right, let's.
That's the real history, not this slop. People need to stop watching TV. It's a total joke.
Go ahead, Jules.
Of course, he had went to Yale. I was just reading right here that he was about to graduate from Yale. It just
Who?
Yeah,
what?
I think that I don't think Vance's history is actually totally complete, because my understanding is that Vance also attended Oxford or Cambridge.
Huh. Okay.
Just like his wife.
Huh.
His wife,
Oxford.
they have
Seems we're noticing a trend of things in Oxford.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, whatever. It's just three people we happen to mention. But all right, let's see.
Yeah,
We
they
got
were
20
in Oxford. They were in Oxford.
Yeah. All right, we got 20 seconds left on this. Let's go knock it out.
Because they understand where much of that money actually ends up. While marketed as support for development, democracy, and human rights, the majority of these funds are funneled into opposition groups, NGOs with political agendas, and destabilizing movements, Bukele wrote in it.
All right, that's the end of that. The last thing was the USAID. So that'll probably be the last thing we can touch on. Then then I want to get to the Knights of Malta stuff. The USAID, that was, I mean, I know obviously we're going to get into maybe things where people should keep their eyes open on possibilities going forward with Trump. But I will say the USAID, pretty dope, although there is a pretty big asterisk in that now I guess it's getting ready to be put under the State Department. Essentially being run by Rubio. But I mean, I would assume that being put under a different entity would probably shrink it to some degree, given time to go through some stuff. So I don't know. Maybe it will end up just being just as awful later. But it seems like they shrunk it somewhat. I mean, it'd be better if it just disappeared. But I think this is an improvement. And at the very least, this kind of was an exposure to people that, like, even if they do resume operations, now it seems like there's a large contingency of people that are like, I know what you're doing now. I know what this fucking game is. You're not playing that. I mean, like, you might still be able to do it, but you're not gonna be able to do it under, without us knowing anymore. Oh, if you have any thoughts on that,
was that a question?
I was just asking, like, your thoughts on the USAID. That on Trump getting rid of it. I mean, thoughts on it going forward.
They should just start clipping off so many pieces of the federal apparatus. It's all corrupt and it's gross. They should get rid of that, get rid of the Department of Education, get anything that isn't federalized, and return all the power to the people, to the states. Let the states handle it.
Yeah.
Save the taxes and cut down the debt. Just fire sale the whole thing, man.
Oh, shit.
Under the roof.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Dr. Roy said they just announced all USAID people are to be recalled home by Friday. I don't know what you mean by recalled home. Like, to go, they're fired, or are you saying that Doctor? Are you saying they're fired, or like they have to return to? What do you mean by that, recalled? That would make me think they're coming back to work, but I don't know what. That could be good. It makes me sound maybe like there's something going on. All right, Knights of Malta. This is kind of the main thing. I don't remember if we talked about this. We talked before. We're gonna, I'm going to be going back into full head again. This perfectly touched into the topic we're planning on going on. So I've been listening to basically all of your Knights of Malta coverage. So I'm looking forward to talking to you about this specifically. We kind of touched on it a little bit with the Teal thing. That's kind of what I was reaching at, but I didn't want to fully dig into, or the Teal JD Vance, because it feels like kind of like an inundation into the Malta world. Because I know with what's his face with Teal, it is like, I don't know if we know for sure whether he's not or not. It looks like maybe he's tried to or is. We just don't know for sure. There's not any confirmation. But he's definitely palled up, like you said, with Eric Prince, like Blackwater, and other individuals that are super clicked up or are straight up confirmed Knights of Malta. But I guess kind of a good spot to start is kind of what is Knights of Malta for the audience? I'm not assuming they know what we're talking about here.
Yeah, it's a knighthood that's in the Catholic Church. It's under the Holy See, and they are located in the Isle of Malta, south of Sicily, kind of directly in the center of the Mediterranean. And their heritage goes all the way back to the Crusades, and they were in the Holy Land. And they aren't the Knight Templars, so don't get a mistake with the Templars who supposedly, they got wrapped up in the 14th century, and there's still remnants of them. But officially, they were wrapped up in the 14th. So this is different. They have a longer name. It's the Knights Templar, the Knights of Malta Hospitallers of St. John. They have a specific Maltese cross. And they were, after the Muslims took over the Holy Land, they went to Cyprus, the Isle of Cyprus, then to Rhodes, and then to Malta. So they've been involved in a lot of skullduggery, anti-Muslim skullduggery for the Christendom, really. And there was a huge siege of Malta by the Ottoman Turks that were kind of successfully repulsed and resisted in the 16th century. And that knighthood kind of still stays today. So they were actually overthrown by Napoleon in 1798. But their legacy or heritage is all the way up to the present. There's 13,500 members. And they pervade a lot. It's international in scope. They're heavily involved in certain countries. But a lot of the royalty of West of Europe have a tie to support or are members and are Knights of Malta. And some of the more notable people are King Charles III, right? So the former Prince of Wales. So that's kind of a connection to the British royal family, but a lot of royal families in all these other countries, Germany, Spain, France, Austria and Hungary, even Greece and Italy, all these other aristocrats from these countries are Knights of Malta. But what's interesting about them and why they're relevant is not that they're not a kind of defunct, dead aspect of the Catholic Church, but there's a lot of people in our present culture and in the Trump administration who have direct ties to the Knights of Malta. And some of them, we mentioned Eric Prince Teal to Prince, who have worked together, but also Steve Bannon worked with a guy named Burke, who's a known cardinal in the Catholic Church, who's also a Knight of Malta. Some of these guys from the Heritage Foundation, who's a very hard conservative Catholic, are there. But also the new spokesperson, he's the new counselor to the president. Kelly, if you remember Kellyanne Conway from 2016 to 2020, the woman who fills her role now is named Haba, Habba. Her dad is not only a member, but a ranked member of the U.S. version of the House of Malta. He's actually an interesting character. He's a Chaldean Catholic. So a part of the old Christian Middle East, before the lines of the current states in the Middle East were established. But this is a list, and you'll see so many famous names in here that are Knights of Malta. It's kind of not surprising that the Dulles family is involved, but you'll see William Buckley, Prescott Bush, right? The Bush,
Do you
Scion.
remember who Avery was? I see Avery below that. Was
Avery Dulles. Okay, so there's Alan Dulles, and his brother was John Foster Dulles.
Yeah, John Foster. Yeah,
his son is Avery. He converted to Catholicism.
He's not the one that was. That's not the one that got fucked up, right? I don't know to what degree you remember about him. I know he had one son that had a head injury in war.
That's Alan Dulles' son.
Okay.
Avery is John Foster's son. So
Dulles, gotcha.
Alan Dulles' son was injured pretty heavily with a brain injury in the Korean War.
Yeah, they tried to Tavistock his ass, I believe. And then they sent him to Tavistock or some other one of those.
He was under the care of many psychiatrists, MK Ultra psychiatrists, and then he wouldn't shut up, and he kept saying his dad was a Nazi sympathizer and was actually a Nazi asset. But it's hard to take him seriously because of his condition. But he said it very recently, actually. I think within the last 10 years or 20 years. But you'll see some of these other names on here. James Pat Buchanan. So a lot of these, it's interesting. It's a secretive group. They don't really promote themselves, but their websites are very ornate. You can get tons of information out there. They just don't promote, and people don't talk about. I think they care to just kind of be under the surface sub rosa, but
Yeah.
very powerful, very connected. Catholic Church owns more land worldwide than any other organization, and it's tax free. So you got to remember these are like donations and things that do not get taxed by the government. So that also increases their power. But Tip O'Neill was the Speaker of the House at one point, maybe before your time. But interesting tie over to the Nazis, like Reinhard Gehlen, who was really one of their chief spies under the Nazis, who ran the kind of portfolio that handled spies in the Soviet Union.
Is that the one that Alan helped get out? Like, I
Yes.
believe Alan. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Galen.
They
and
were
Alan
friends.
Yeah.
They were buddies.
Yeah.
Also, another interesting one is Himmler. Himmler, who was kind of like what was a thing. So there's this kind of interesting tie between the Catholics in Germany, who were Nazis as well, and the Knights of Malta. And so it kind of makes sense that these rat lines were managed through the Catholic Church. It makes perfect sense that probably went through some of these monasteries, to get out to South America, were through Knights of Malta assets or certainly Catholic assets.
Yeah, no, this gets dark real quick because this has ties to like Gladio. I mean, probably one of the.
It is Knights of Malta. Probably is Gladio.
Is Gladio? Yeah.
Yeah. So you see Colby and all these other characters are there. Haig is in there. I mentioned him in an earlier show. Like Haig was on the board of MGM. He's a Knight of Malta. He did the green light for Red Dawn. It's probably before your time, but this paranoid, the Soviets are invading the United
Red
States.
Scare.
Yeah, he was part of that. So that's part of the culture creation that these guys, Haig overlaps with so many things, Watergate and all the stuff. But you see Kennedy, Kennedy joined everything, the Kennedy father, Joseph, J. Edgar Hoover, who literally ran the kind of domestic control of the country for 50 years. Like, he was incredibly powerful, really smart guy, amazing guy, really dark actor. But the people who ran this country loved him because if you crossed him, man, you're in trouble, real trouble.
Yeah. Which to tie, another point that I kind of want to get at is this also ties into characters like Jimmy Savile, which I'm sure if we get other characters, we could find other awful people in here. But I find that particularly interesting because of the incredibly obscene sexual nature of Savile's crimes, and kind of how that honestly that I don't know if I'm not sure. I've never dug into Savile enough. I don't know if he ever went to full on SRA territory, but I know he borderline was
He was
there.
a member
if not
of a
there.
satanic ring.
Yeah, there you go.
Isn't he connected to the process too?
Yes, he wrote for the process. So there's a process episode about Savile.
Yeah,
he makes all the. We'll get into this. He makes all the satanic gestures.
Yeah,
he's
which
initiated.
He
was the seventh son of a seventh son, so literally a witch.
I was just about to say all the stuff he would do on TV, like the way he would speak, to the way that he would move his little wand that he always carried around. And I'm seeing names in here like the Habsburgs and the Pallavicini. So you got a lot of black nobility tied into this as well. Yeah,
Borghese, Bonaparte tied to Napoleon. I mean, Berti was a saint. He was the head of the Knights of Malta. They're trying to make him a sainthood. Angleton, right? Yeah, the guy who probably
James
had the
Jesus Angleton. Yeah.
Oswald. I mean, all these guys. Bill Wilde, Bill Donovan.
Oswald? You're saying Oswald was a Knight of Malta?
No, but I'm saying that Angleton had probably the main files on Oswald. He actually knew he was. They had Kim Philby, who's one of the Cambridge Five, so one of the big Soviet assets who kind of was a huge traitor. He's a mole. He's like literally incredible spy. But a Maltese guy, Malta. Yeah. Clay Shaw, right? Do you know Clay Shaw from the JFK? JFK, that was the guy that Garrison prosecuted, right?
Yep. Name rings a bell vaguely. Yeah.
Sinatra, some of these names people know, some people know. Icoca was a huge Henry Luce, who's involved in all kinds of Skull and Bones. He's probably in every secret society on earth. Yeah. But as a member. So
what I want to touch on about the Savile point that I was getting at is that you said that this is right here, this list or the Knights of Malta is Gladio, essentially the methodology of things like what Savile might be up to. I kind of have a sneaking feeling that also kind of is Gladio to some extent, in the same sense that things like drug smuggling are Gladio, because I mean this is kind of people already have sort of accepted this concept of that the feds will do off books like drug smuggling or whatever to be able to raise funds for their black book operations or black book or off the books operations, and that's kind of, I think that, I mean, people need to expand their consciousness and think a little bit further than that. What else is there? There's human trafficking, there's other stuff, and I think Saville kind of provides an insight, and then his connections to Malta of like kind of that is sort of, I also think, maybe obviously we're jumping from some like, dots here, but I do, I've, seen other dots, plenty of other dots that kind of lead me to the belief that I think to some extent this is sort of is Gladio. I mean, it might be intrinsic to Gladio, but it's a component of Gladio. This seems to be part of it, whether it's just for funds or if that is kind of, I don't know, the more I dig in deep into this stuff, the more I think, for these deep, dark elites, that's kind of maybe sort of part of the point for them because they're just sick fucks. It's almost like this kind of comes back to it. But at the very least, they're, you're exploiting these people's proclivities to be able to do their activities so far as like Gladio or whatever the fuck, controlling the world, whatever it is that, whatever specific component it plays out there. Any idea on the Pacers? No, okay. I don't know.
Never heard that name.
Yeah.
But I think that you're looking at people who would be called conservative generally. They're definitely anti-communist. They have all those kind of elements. They're probably involved in blackmail operations. And these stay-behind units all over the world were anti-communist units, and they a lot of them were involved in drugs. Like, there's no question about it. Like the CAP here in the States, the Civil Air Patrol was a Gladio unit. Set up by the Rockefellers, financed by the Rockefellers, and who was in there? Ferry and Barry Seal, just
David
bringing
Ferry,
tons of drugs in. So.
For those who aren't aware, that's David Ferry. He ran a Civil Air Patrol group that just so happened to have Oswald, and who was the other one? I know it was Barry Seal, I think, in the group.
Barry Seal was apparently in a neighboring one. So there was one in New Orleans that had Oswald and Ferry, and then Seal was what's the other big city? Baton Rouge. He was in Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
So he was connected. They probably ran into each other. Ferry was all over. He liked little boys. That was his thing. So they knew each other, and they flew. And Barry Adler Seal was a precocious pilot. Like, he was always just a great pilot. And so that's what the Civil Air Patrol was to do, was to take these young kids and turn them into pilots. They turned Barry Seal into a pilot who then imports billions of dollars, and they have a whole movie about him. And then he was shot suspiciously going to the judge or whatever.
Yeah,
but
such a weird character.
Daniel Hopsicker wrote a book, Burying the Boys, and he flat out said these guys were CIA agents. He didn't say they were contractors.
Yeah,
he said they were CIA agents.
Yeah. I mean, that is one thing that always blew me away, David Ferry. And then on top of that, he was really into like hypnotism and just like, I don't know, you look at him like, dude, this guy is spooky as all get out.
Hypnotism, black magic, was a traveling bishop. I wonder if he was in that in Malta. He wanted to be, in the Catholic Church, but they didn't call you pederast back then. They just said you had like emotional problems, but his emotional problem was dudes. That was his taste for dudes. So this is kind of the structure here. This is a recent thing I took. It's the meeting area of the Knights of Malta in the Grand Master's Palace. You'll see that this is from December 25th, 2024. So they've just redecorated this, and this is the classic motif of the Knights of Malta, the Maltese cross with the Maltese flag. And there's the Queen. This is the mother of the current king, Charles III. She's got her huge, prominent Maltese cross right there. So she's probably a dame of the Maltese. Like, these kind of royals have so many connections, it's off the charts. But they're believers in this. It's not this. This is a very suspicious character that might be known to everybody. Her name is Ghislaine Maxwell. Mm-hmm. Here she is with the ambassador to Malta. But this is the guy from South Africa, right? The so-called left winger, Knights of Malta.
Mandela.
Mandela. He's got his Maltese cross. They've infiltrated, not infiltrated, but they've either co-opted or invited many people from Africa. Many of the Christians from Africa were brought in, and they're kind of they allow like African Americans in here. See, Sammy Davis Jr.'s in here and stuff like that. Like, so it's kind of more of an idiot. They're not really racially exclusive, as it was.
And they allow women too. So
right, so it's a different group. It's like the dames in Malta. You see that later.
And they recently updated to where now they are letting normal people, because it used to just be royalty essentially, right?
I think the order was, but I don't know if that's fully true, because they had like laymen and things who weren't royalty, but I think they've opened up their things. They have 13,500 members. I don't think it was ever that big going back in time.
Yeah.
Like
this is the story of this is essentially the way it's, if you talk to someone, say, I don't know, Catholic that knew about it or something, they would frame it as almost like probably something similar like Shriners or something, where they're supposed to help with, which even then those are Masons, Shriners, so there's a deeper story there. But the idea that they're, usually helping with, some sort of, hospital or charity or something along those lines is usually which, to jump off the AID thing we talked about a long time ago, it's kind of like, was it Bukalele said that like maybe 10%, actually goes to some sort of good cause. I'm not saying that is the case with the Knights of Malta. I have no idea to what extent they actually do, good things like charity or whatever. I'm sure they do.
They do. They're really supposed to be a charitable organization.
Exactly. Yeah. So
these are things where these guys are clearly networking. They're meeting with each other. They know each other. It's very much like the Pilgrim Society, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it functions like that, where you have public diplomacy. This is private diplomacy.
Yeah.
So if you guys hang out or you go to the local Knights of Malta Lodge, you have similar ideas. You guys are anti-communists, you're conservative, and you're just going to support the Catholic Church. And so these people do what they're told. Like if the Pope says this has got to happen, this is like military type stuff. They'll ace you. They will freaking ace you in a second.
Yeah, the Pilgrim Society was more like England, like an England entity, whereas
it's
this is more of a Catholic entity, right?
Yeah.
So,
but you'll see that there's so many members that overlap.
Makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Here's like the Cirque, if you know Gladio and things like that. That's David Rockefeller. But this guy's a great researcher, Darren from Twitter. I'd suggest people follow him. But like you see this overlap of Opus Dei too, which is a secret society within the Catholic Church. Otto von Habsburg, famous last name, right?
Oh yeah,
the Habsburg dynasty. So these are like people who structured the Pan-European movement. They're part of this kind of other kind of private diplomacy that the Knights of Malta are. I think it's definitely a charitable thing. They're all over the place. I think they're in Gaza, Ukraine, all over. But here is, what's his face? Reinhard Galen with his Knight of Malta cross, right? White on red. He's a true believer.
See those colors?
There's pictures of this guy in the United States, like under different guises. He's really something else. But yeah, Galen. So that's what the Isles of Malta is, really 3 separate islands, but that's what they look like. There's the Malta, Gozo, and Comino or something like that. And Valletta is the main. It's really beautiful. Apparently, I've never been there. But
and one key thing is a lot of these big people will apply for citizenship, right? That's how this works. And
exactly.
So
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah. So that's how become a Malta.
Teal is trying to get his Maltese citizenship.
Yeah, which was the connection I was trying to make earlier. Is once again, he's clicked up with people, but whether he is one or not, I don't know. But he did try to get citizenship, which is kind of which becomes a big thing. Tax free. They have they're basically essentially they have like a carve out in the UN. They kind of have these weird explicit benefits of being Knights of Malta. So real quick, I did want to let you guys know the phone lines are open 941-281-5857. I'll be bringing the banner up and down because I didn't want it to block out the face and the William and the bottom of this, but we'll keep going. If anyone has a call, go ahead and we'll keep going and I'll answer in the behind the scenes and we'll bring you on in a minute. But let's I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm just letting people know that's open.
But I mean, their main cathedral, St. John's Cathedral, is beautiful and ornate. Look at this. These are all knights with their own kind of mausoleum or headstones for their deaths. 400 tombstones, each inlaid by colored marble slab bearing crest, coat of arms, and epitaph of a buried knight. So the history is real. Like it's really beautiful.
Yeah,
church. I've never been there.
I was about to say that's beautiful.
So this is from Metadoxy online. You You can find some good stuff on Twitter about Twitter's actually become an actual research thing instead of a commie hellscape.
Yeah, that's what I've been using for all my morning shows. I just find threads, and it's mostly just Twitter.
Great.
Yeah,
and they're not censored. They're not taken down. Like,
right?
It's the culture of these left-wing people. Yeah. They are antiseptic. They don't believe in free thought. Like, the culture's horrible. Like, we've lived through it. I lived through the censorship. I was trying to get an old channel back today, but that's what they really believe. They believe they're doing the right thing by censoring.
Oh yeah, there was a question earlier. Somebody was asking about your channel specifically. What's the situation with that?
Well, I'm off of YouTube. I'm permanently off YouTube. I'm not going to be nanny stated by them anymore. So you can find all my stuff on X. I stream to X and Rumble and Rockfin.
Okay, so you left of your own volition, or did you get nuked?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's been a rocky relationship. It's like having a crazy girlfriend or something where, like, you don't know what's going to happen next. They literally, like, went through something where I was talking about elite child trafficking, and they said that was harassment and gave me a strike from a show I did like 6 years ago. Yeah. Like, what? You're bringing that up now? What?
I get demonetized for supporting violent organizations or something. But all I said was the violent organization was the Civil War South is what they meant, and I wasn't even a strong it wasn't even like a strong condemnation of the North or like a support of the South. It was I literally said this is a paraphrase, but basically the right idea. Maybe the Civil War isn't the parody that we were led to believe, and just as simple as North good, South bad, and that's basically all I said. And then we moved on to a different topic. I was kind of like but they gave me the timestamp, so that's what I was talking about. Like,
there's more to it. If you suck up to their ideas, like their kind of leftist ideas, their kind of commie ideas, you'll never get kicked off of there. And if you don't talk about certain things, they don't want you to talk about COVID or the election theft of 2020.
But yeah, I probably lost a shitload of money just because of that, which is stupid, but whatever.
No, it's incredible. It's all about money. The censorship and the misinformation and disinformation, it's not the real issue. They really just want to take down competitors and people who are independent.
Luckily, Rumble's killing it now, though. I look in the chat and I scroll through most of the time, and it's mostly entirely the green triangles. Oh, here's Base Kothar. I just noticed it. Dang it, I'm trying to bring it up.
Thanks, Base.
You guys are cooking $5. Thank you. I'm not sure whose platform they went to, but whoever it is, thank you. But yeah, you guys can super chat on Austin's, and I don't know about yours, your YouTube, but you can Rumble rant on my Rumble, or anybody's Rumble really, but you cannot super chat me on YouTube because I said sort of weak things about the Civil War. But anyways, but I guess back to the Knights of Malta.
I don't even swear on my channel.
Yeah, I can't say that.
Like the skull and crossbones and star, all the regalia, it's all here.
And that 8-pointed cross that they have, that is explicitly Knights of Malta too. So when you see that, that's
it's called the cross.
It's called the what?
The Maltese cross.
Maltese cross, sorry.
That's what it's called. You see it right there on the far left. And right in the center is a member of Knights of Malta, Caravaggio, one of the famous Renaissance painters. And this is probably a priceless painting, which is the beheading of St. John, right? So it's a depiction by Caravaggio. And I think it's in that same church we were just looking at. But that's it right there. The beheading of John the Baptist.
Do they have anything to do with the Order of St. John? I don't know if you've ever heard of the Order.
They are the Order of St. John.
Okay.
They go by the Sovereign Military Order of Malta now. That's the SMOM. But their long name is the Order of St. John of Hospitallers or something like that. They have a very long name, but they're just commonly referred to as simply the Knights of Malta because that's where their location is.
Right.
This is a painting by Titian. You can see a guy pointing to his Knight of Malta, Maltese cross, and he has the Maltese cross on his medallion. And this is in the Uffizi in Venice. And there's Sammy Davis Jr. He's got his Maltese cross. Interesting guy, not afraid of secret societies, that's for sure. Wow. There's an infamous picture of him with LaVey and Michael Aquino.
Yeah.
They used the Maltese cross in this movie. What I can't remember. The Umbrella Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil. Yeah.
That's
the Umbrella
Maltese
Corporation.
Cross. And there's tile where, like us, we were talking about Pilgrim Society and all these other secret societies. This is the head of the Knights of Columbus. So the Knights of Columbus is a huge kind of Catholic lay
I was
group.
just about to ask you about them, William. That's
And
fun.
this is the guy. He's the member of the Knights of Malta and the head of the Supreme Knights of Columbus, which have a lot of power. They have tons of life insurance and funds, like billions and billions of dollars in retirement funds, which means they got a lot of clout. So his name is Patrick E. Kelly. And you'll see these kind of overlapping: War College, commanding officer, Navy, and also head of the Knights of Columbus and the Knights of Malta.
Huh.
So the Knights of Columbus goes all the way back. 1.9 million members, 15,000 councils, and $109 billion in life insurance in force as of 2020.
And this entity enters directly to the Pope, right? And then how this works?
They all do. They're all loyal to the Pope. If you're a real Catholic,
the
Pope is kind of like, whether you're a Dominican or a Jesuit, Pope is the boss, man. He made it to the top.
Yeah, but he's like literally sent dictates for this group before. So it's literally, I don't know if he created it himself or what, but I forget the specifics. But he has provided dictates of some sort to this entity in the past. So, and not just in a generic, because we're religious. Like, so it is kind of like they set up their hierarchies directly under him, and not just in a religious sense, but in like a literally that's their lead, like the leader of this group, which I guess is kind of the same thing.
The leader of the Knights of Malta?
Yeah, or not.
No question. They're under the Holy See.
Yeah,
but they have kind of a different hierarchy and kind of structure. They're supposedly independent, so they're not directly like loyal or whatever part of the structure, and they're kind of like they're almost like their own nation without kind of a home. I think is the way they're viewed.
Yeah,
but yeah, they've had recent battles. We will go. They're in the slides. He's had battles with the Knights of Malta, their leadership, and who's going to lead it. And I think he kind of like had a little tiff with them. It wasn't that. I think it got resolved.
I didn't know that screwed up. Wow.
But $109 billion is not chump change. That can like change whole corporations, and it's worth more. It's like incredible amount of money. This is a 16th century.
Is Knights of Columbus significant?
We
just
talked about it for a second.
Okay. All right.
It just overlaps. This is the head of the Knights of Columbus. His name's Patrick E. Kelly. He's getting inducted into.
Oh, I'm retarded. I missed that part. Yeah.
So that was it.
Okay.
This is the new head. He's from Canada. His name's John Dunlap. You can see the Knights of Malta. This is a hand gesture. That means I've been initiated. It's bled over into the occult, but he's basically initiated in something. Whether he's been initiated, they may have a darker initiation ritual, but he's a member. But yeah, prominent Knight of Malta cross on his chest. This is fairly recent. This is 2023.
66-year-old Canadian.
Yeah, so there he is on the left reading some laity and Maltese cross. This is the initiation room. There's all the other knights. They've had a problem with people ripping off their kind of stuff, but this is what this is about. Mimic orders and things like that. And then this is famous members. This is Andrew Bertie, Duke of Castro, King Charles III, Juan Carlos I of Spain. Dunlap is the guy I just mentioned. He's the new Grandmaster 2023. Famous members: Casey, Dulles, Donovan. This is them kind of walking in 2013. This is St. Peter's Cathedral, the outside the square.
Yeah.
They made a solemn privilege in 1113, so it's definitely like almost 900 years old.
We have these guys running all through the Trump administration, essentially, right? I mean,
they're all around. They're all over the place. I don't know every one yet.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that a lot of those guys in leadership positions. I don't know Hegseth, whether he's a Knight of Malta, but I think he's a Knight of the Holy Sepulchre. I think that's what his Jerusalem cross is that's what indicated that he's somehow inducted. And that may explain his ascent. The guy went to Princeton. He wrote 5 books. He was on Fox News, but I don't think he's ever worked for the Department of Defense. He was a military guy, But like,
I mean, same as Vance. It's the same idea as Vance. I mean, it's a little bit more like heavy-handed with Vance because you have a super fucking tech billionaire that's kind of giving him money. But I mean, Hegseth's kind of similar thing, kind of brought from a. I mean, yeah, he was like what, a fucking Fox News guy, and then like, oh, now you're the big dog. So it does seem like, hey, you're
the
coming
biggest.
to big leagues.
He's in control of an organization that has $1 trillion budget every year. Like, it's incredible. Like, the amount of power the U.S. really has is off the charts. Like, it's just an enormous country.
Yeah, it's the best killing machine in the world. Power. That's what he's running. Yeah, wild shit.
The economy is just enormous. I mean, China's is bigger than ours now, I think, but like, it's hard. Russia has an economy the size of just Texas. Like, it's just that's how big the U.S. is. Like, the economy is just like, that's just Texas. Like, think about all these other states. So this was the kind of kerfluffle they had with Pope Francis Bergoglio. It was the change. The Pope issued a decree that there was an acrimonious debate within the order and between some top members of the old guard and the Vatican over a new constitution that would weaken its sovereignty. So I think it got resolved. It's not very exciting. Knights of Malta, all the regalia, they look like Masons.
They look just like Masons. Yeah.
This is kind of like the flow chart. This is Fulner. This is another head of the Heritage Foundation, who co-founded the Heritage Foundation in 1973. Ed Fulner, Knight of Malta.
And that's like the think tank that most people think. Like, if you think of think tanks, that's like the one that comes to mind for most
Almost
people.
all the right wingers go through the Heritage Foundation.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So this was a guy outside of D.C. trying to influence, things. One of the interesting things about the Malta that ties into the common culture is there was a famous movie called The Maltese Falcon with Humphrey Bogart, but it really pertains to a real piece of historical fact about the Knights of Malta, which is that the head of the Holy Roman Empire, his name was Juan Carlos I, I think. All he wanted for the Knights of Malta to have the Maltese island was one Maltese falcon a year. So it became a symbol of like the Maltese Knights, the Knights of Malta. And then that Maltese falcon kind of became a central part of the movie and book. The book was by Dashiell Hammett, but it was the movie with Humphrey Bogart called The Maltese Falcon, which people should watch. There it is right there.
I want a Maltese Falcon. That'd be fucking dope.
So it's a specific kind of. This is a Maltese cross, supposedly associated with one of the Yale secret societies, St. Elmo's. I couldn't validate it. Seymour Hersh, Knights of Malta, and me. So Seymour Hersh kind of stepped on some toes when he was in the Middle East because he called a couple guys there, kind of crusaders who were Knights of Malta, and he said the whole JSOC, the Joint Special Operations Command, was filled with people who were like, they wanted to replace the mosques with cathedrals, so they were pretty hardballs. So if I was in the Middle East right now, I'd be really nervous because some of these guys that are in the Trump administration have that kind of mentality.
No, I did have a question on that. Do you have any sort of like frame or thing you point to that kind of gives you this feeling, or is it just kind of knowing what the church is and its antiquity and kind of just how it's feeling? I don't know, because I could totally see how, especially, in the height of the war on terror, how there would be some religious folks who get caught up in this sort of mentality, this anti-Muslim mentality that becomes part of the fight. But do you know anything particular? Have you seen statements from some people or what that kind of hint towards this? I mean, it makes sense to me.
Was just in front of troops today saying we are on a war path. We're on a war footing. We're a war footing organization. So this is not the DIE, pick your gender type stuff. So if he's putting on war footing, I think it's a cultural change too. Like you're getting rid of the chaff and stuff. So he's emphasizing that publicly. So that would be something. That would be it. I think Trump's decision that he's going to move the American military into Gaza is incredible. Like they're getting involved in that conflict. But we've already basically, the battle for Israel plays out in the U.S. People think that fight there is really it. If the U.S. does not support Israel, Israel never exists. It never would have existed in 1948 it has its supporters here, but the real battle for Israel takes place in the halls of power in D.C.
Yeah, if we stop supporting them, they'll stop to exist or be forced to get along. One of the two. But yeah,
I mean, that's a whole nother story. They've been fighting forever. The Israelis and the Jews and the Muslims. Maybe
but this does signal like a changing of the guard, and it may, in a sense, like it's almost like you could almost make a case that it makes little to no difference, because I mean, you on the Middle East part, obviously, you know, there's definitely Jewish angles to take of like why we would do certain things in the Middle East, but if we're swapping from the Jews to the Catholics, which there's obviously a little bit of a funny in there, and that like, why is it me saying the Jews do this is kind of offensive, but if I say the Catholics, everyone knows what you mean. It's not as big of a deal. But either way, but now we're again the Catholic, and there's still a Crusader mindset, and there's also kind of like a end times belief that contributes to like wanting to clean out the Middle East. So we are kind of getting the same thing, but maybe there'll be a slightly different flavor. I don't know if maybe. I don't know. Maybe we might end up longing for the days of Jewish control in the Middle East. I don't know, because I don't know.
Who knows what's going to happen? Yeah. I mean, you're asking good questions. I don't know. I think Syria as a country is going to be gone. Yeah, I think it's going to be carved up.
I would say, if I had to just to characterize the Jewish moves here, like, it seems to be a little bit more careful in some sense. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're fucking just killing people like crazy, but it's not as, there seem to be more calculated moves, you know, when they do this, do that. Whereas, I don't know, if we're dealing with a Catholic contingency and set in America, they don't have to deal with actually living in that region. They might be a little bit more bombastic than even Israel in some senses. I'm not saying we're going to reach numbers like they did in Gaza, but I mean, so far as the type of moves with certain characters, they might be a little bit more heavy-handed, because it's kind of like, what are you going to do? We're across this ocean. We also don't have to live around you guys, so we don't have to worry about like how this falls. You know, I mean, don't get me wrong. I guess the Jewish contingencies do similar things, but I don't know. I guess I'm kind of curious what are your thoughts on what we're going to be looking at. Like, what are the differences here? Are there really any meaningful differences in kind of the people taking over, or is just kind of just knowing who's running things?
It's already changed. Yeah, it's already changed in the last 2 weeks. So the meaningful differences are already apparent.
Yeah, I guess it's true. I mean, there's definitely a lot, but there's definitely some stuff you're like, I'm a little concerned about these steps, and there's a lot of stuff I'm like, that's cool.
If you look at this article by Seymour Hersh, these are the same type of characters who were around during Bush and early Obama. That's what he's talking about here, is these guys. We're going to change mosques into cathedrals. That's an attitude that pervades, I'm here to say, a large percentage of the JSOC. They sacked Iraq. They drove Iraq. They hunted down Saddam Hussein and his 2 kids and had them killed. I mean, this is pretty hardcore shit. This is not a joke. McChrystal, successor, and Admiral William McRaven were members of the Knights of Malta. So these guys, if you're hanging out with these other guys underneath the Pope, and these are old battles, and you're remembering this history, the conflict with the Ottomans and all this other stuff. And that's what Erdogan's saying. Erdogan's saying, I'm going to resurrect the glory of the Ottoman Empire. So, you know, you could see fireworks. There's no question about it. And these are people, this is Eric Prince, Knight of Malta tradition. Somebody asked the question earlier. I believe Eric Prince was part of the Knights of Malta. He is. He doesn't have something to do with them. He is a Knight of Malta. He's very much involved. There's another list of other people. One of the interesting names on this list, you mentioned Jimmy Savile, but is Leonard Leo, was very much involved. He's in the Federalist Society, but getting kind of conservatives into the judiciary, and very much involved.
That's a big one.
Murdoch's huge.
Yeah.
This is the guy.
Rupert Murdoch, for just to jog your memory, that was like the Fox News guy. Like, he basically started Fox News.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Big in the UK as well. This is Burke, who's friends with Bannon, so they work together at this place, Dignitatis Humanae Institute. This guy's a known member of the Knight of Malta. They were kind of working together and kind of European stuff. I got to run in 5 minutes, so this is Alina Habba.
That's perfect timing, actually.
Yeah, good. Then this is her making some statement fairly recent, but maybe because she's the daughter of the Chancellor of the U.S. Knights of Malta. He calls it a Christo-fascist arm of the Catholic Church that sided with Hitler in World War II. I don't know if that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, the fascists were Italians and Nazis, so I don't know. The left uses the word fascism in a weird way.
Mm-hmm.
to mean nothing, really.
Yeah, it's not the dictionary meaning. It's the leftist dictionary meaning.
Yeah.
So this is her dad. This is her with what's her face, McCartney
Kelly,
or whatever,
yeah.
Kelly Conway, and this is the dad getting initiated. There's his Knights of Malta. Like this is crazy. There's his name right on the website. You can go check it out. The Order of Malta, American Association, Saad Haba. He's a Chaldean Catholic who's really interesting. There's Haba with the next FBI director, Kash Patel. This is Eric Prince when they tried to blow Trump's head off in July. He was on this assassination hearing. I don't know. Some of these other guys are Knights of Malta. Maybe they are.
Bongino.
Dan Bongino, yeah.
Maybe he's a knight. This is Seymour Hersh. He had a little tangle with the knights.
I saw Sean Ryan up there. What was that about? Was there something Sean Ryan?
Well, Prince was on the show.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy is sus as heck. This
he glows.
Yeah, glows in a big way.
Oh my god!
Across the universe, dude.
Yeah, like Power of Small Country, probably.
I mean, when they pop in like that, and they're like the #1 podcast in the world.
Yeah.
Somebody's helping them.
Yeah. They're like, oh, dude, I still can't get over the fucking the smuggling story of his. That's the one that I just like. I don't know, whatever. Maybe I can kind of be like, oh, I can kind of find a way to understand or explain away things like about you being a glowy. But if you're like, no, I got out of the CIA, and then I was fucking doing international drug trafficking over in this. Okay, dude, yeah, I'm just gonna admit this lie. Like what? Yeah, I'm committing international crimes, and I'll just admit it on fucking.
What's the statute of limitations? This is the overlapping knighthood. So some of this just isn't common knowledge. This is the Knights of the Holy Sepulchre, so it's a different order. It's about the protection of the Pope and supporting the Christian presence in the Holy Land. So that's what they're involved in. And that guy this guy Fjellner, who we mentioned earlier, is a Knight of Malta and a Knight of the Holy Sepulchre. And the Mont Pérolin Society, all these other things, which are, these are other things. This is fairly, Dolan's always on stage in New York whenever Trump's around. This guy's friends with Trump. And here he is talking about the Knights of Malta in November 2024, not that long ago. They do their magnificent apostolate rather quietly and humbly. Oliver North, Knight of Malta.
Oh, shit.
There's Hegseth with his Jerusalem tattoo.
Yeah, those are pretty heavy-handed, aren't they? I mean, that's not playing around.
So that's prominent. So I think we kind of know where this John Roberts, that's the head of the Supreme Court, walking into Knight of Malta. So these guys are connected, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Alan West, Templar, Sovereign Templar of Jerusalem, a Knight of Malta or something. I don't know. I guess this isn't the Maltese cross, but he's a Knight Templar. I guess they're back in order again.
Yeah.
That's the King of Jerusalem. So that's the King of Jerusalem, Supreme Ruler of Jerusalem, Crusader state. So he's literally wearing a Crusader.
Oh, that's that King of Jerusalem thing is exactly. Okay, yeah, there you go. That's what you're doing. Yeah. That's it. Yeah.
And then James Carter died on January 9th. His service was January 9th, 2025. He has the same cross, right? Life of James Earl Carter. So his background, I wonder if he's a Knight of Malta. That may explain a lot of these guys who get into political powers, that they got into these powerful organizations. And the Pope said, okay, make that guy freaking senator or whatever. Like the Catholic Church is super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
This is their Knights of Malta involvement in Ireland. This is just another guy. This is an ambassador from the Knights of Malta to the UN. So they have a UN presence. Teal is the head of the steering group on the Bilderberg group.
Oh,
so
yeah, I forgot about
he
that.
overlaps with all this stuff.
He's in the steering committee, and so I'm assuming that this sounds like that would mean they steer that entity towards where they want it to go, and Teal's running that. Right.
Facebook founding director Peter Thiel. You forget that he's involved in Facebook. And pal Eric Prince funded Cambridge Analytica. So they're involved in all kinds of these little public, quote, public relations, unquote stuff. Manipulation with Bannon. So there's a nexus. There's no question. Peter Thiel, major U.S. political donor, said to pursue Maltese citizenship. Eric Prince is advising Trump from the shadows in 2017. Club of Rome. This guy was a famous actor. He was in Gunga Din. Douglas Fairbanks. He's dancing at a Knights of Malta ball in Palm Beach. Trump has his thing. There he is. There he is with Reagan, Nancy Reagan, and Grace Kelly. Knight of Malta. This is the Prince of Wales. This guy was passed over, but he's at a Maltese thing in 1933. Welsh Priory, St. John, and they have a presence in the city of London, right? So this is called Clerkenwell Priory.
Didn't you say King Charles's dad was one as well, or something? Or maybe I missed.
His mom definitely was, because we saw a picture of her earlier. So I think that, I don't know if the Duke of Edinburgh was.
Okay.
Clerkenwell Priory. They have their own museum of the Order of St. John in London. So there's the city of London. This is a hospital. This is German on the Via Doloroso in Jerusalem with the Maltese cross. So it's everywhere. This is like, I have a whole nother set of slides. I'll have to do another thing, but like the almost entire aristocracy of old Europe has Maltese connections.
Which Haig is one character. Didn't he have like a key role when it came to Watergate, if I can recall correctly? So
he had a secret relationship to Woodward.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said that. They had Woodward was a 09 Order of Naval Intelligence or something. But he and Haig were like old buddies, but it never came out in the public. And that was another kind of fraud that they put out, that like Woodward and Bernstein were like little gumshoe, reporters, but Woodward had a very interesting background.
Yeah, he did
so it was a
fucking
coup.
source.
There was a right-wing coup to take out Nixon, I think is what.
Exactly, yeah.
They took out 3 presidents in a row. So Kennedy was taken out in 1963. They told Johnson, you can't run again, so he just quit. And he quit. And then Nixon got taken out. Mm-hmm. And then I think Nixon went to Ford, right? And then they tried to blow Ford's head off. And then twice. They tried to blow Ford's head off twice in a month. It's almost never talked about.
Wow. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that either, to be honest.
Lone gunman tried to kill Ford after he was installed. And then it was Carter. And then it was Reagan. And then they tried to take out Reagan. Gunman. I mean, these presidents are lucky they're not dead in office. Like Trump should be terrified. Like he's surrounded by jackals, like within his party and outside. So like, they try to kill them like at least 3 times. Like, I don't know, like you talk about a remote controlled helicopter.
Yeah.
He just said, oh yeah, that's a whole nother story. He seems to think that Iran is out to assassinate him, but I think he's just getting terrible information. Like, is he really getting good information? Like, I don't know where he's getting his information from.
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to run, guys.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I figured you might want to it looked like you were trying to get to finish the slides, and there was only a few left. But that's fine. William, want to let people know where they can find you, and we'll get you out of here.
Yeah. William Ramsey investigates top 0.5, like top 30,000 podcasts in the world. They do a lot of different investigations on a lot of different subjects: true crime, occultism, etc. You can get my 5 books on Amazon, or you can watch my 5 documentaries on my Patreon. So it's William Ramsey Investigates Patreon.
All right, well, appreciate you coming on. I think me and you will probably Jules probably take a few minutes and go through these. But I appreciate you popping on, William. But I guess we'll probably go through the chat a little bit, maybe hang out for 5-10 minutes and get out of here, because we didn't really interact with the chat as much. We were pretty enthralled in this. So, but yeah.
And I need to get you on my show soon.
Yeah, anytime. Just let me know.
Yeah, just to talk about Valley and some stuff.
Email
like that.
For anybody. Email is the best way to contact me. So
for sure.
I'm actually pretty active on X too, but my email's simple: William Ramsey Investigates @protonmail.com.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Right.
Good night. Peace.
All right, see you, William. Appreciate you coming on. Sorry. All right, cool. Well, let's pop through the chat real quick. I mean, we were very focused in on that. Man, we got some good numbers. People showing up today. Yeah, right. But that was interesting, dude.
You got a Rumble rant.
Do I? Okay. Fire Pixie. This is a great episode. Thanks. Thank you, Fire Pixie. Appreciate you showing up as you always fucking do. But yeah, no, that was a fun one. I mean, you guys seem to like it. Just looking at the numbers. This is one of those ones that seem to do buku numbers. So just found your channel for Sparky Sparks. I really enjoyed your video on the Process Church of the Final Judgment of the Temple Solaire. Well, thank you. Just kidding. That's not me. That's Austin. So you are probably watching on Austin's channel. So That is the Underclass Podcast. If you want to, you can follow me over at No Way Jose. Me and Austin do 2 shows together. We do the Morning Dump and we do Already Dead, and they stream to both channels. So that's why you're seeing this. But I also have a bunch of my own content. If you want to come on over to my channel, No Way Jose, you can check out that stuff as well. But whatever, if you're following Austin and you have notifications on, you'll get notified whenever I go live for Already Deads or Morning Dump. So your choice. But yeah, that's but anyways, this is let's man, I'm scrolling through the chat here real quick, guys. I felt bad. We didn't really interact that much. I mean, I didn't even have the number of but we were really stuck into that. Any thoughts, Jules? Yeah,
dude, I learned a lot, to be honest with you. I've kind of dived into them before, but not too much. I just want to know kind of about their origins and stuff. Maybe something that I'll look into. I'm thinking they probably come from early Christian mysticism, kind of like how the Freemasons come from early Jewish mysticism, Solomon's Temple and whatnot. So, man, it's fun learning about this shit,
Yeah. Well, all right, Jules. I guess I think we're good. Here we go. Here's Firebeast saying, I was riveting. I wouldn't have paid attention to us either. LOL. But it was also, too, you guys got to keep in mind, since we don't have Austin, it's just me and Jules, and we don't have somebody sitting in the back keeping an eye on things. So that does make a huge difference. That's super helpful. So it is like us trying to also, actually produce content, or actually talk and be the content while trying to produce content is a little rough to try to do two at the same time. So sorry if we didn't really get into interaction with the chat like we usually do. But with that, I think next time, in a couple weeks from now, when he comes back, it will be kind of along the lines of that. It'll be much more interaction, because I think it'll be much more riffing. We've already kind of went through the slides. We've already looked at the things. So now it's just going to be much more of a conversation all over the place. But yeah, Austin will be back. And then also Austin will be back for next week as well. So, yes, Jules, you want to let people know where they can find you at? We'll go ahead and get out of here, bud.
Man. Graypilled Pod on Twitter, guys. Graypilled_podcast on Instagram. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find me on Patreon, patreon.com/Graypilled Podcast. Got a lot of cool shit happening over there. Dropping 2 Elohim etymologies this week. So y'all look out for those. Doing another one this weekend. Don't have any shows planned for this weekend, but I'm sure I'll be doing something Friday night, Saturday, and then Sunday night. So yeah, stay on the lookout.
All right. Well, I appreciate all right, guys. I appreciate when you showed up today. I do want to remind you guys, I forgot to do this again. I forgot to pay the bills real quick. I do want to remind you guys to go to No Shave Co. Use Jose at checkout. Cheaper product. It's a better product from a company that doesn't fucking hate you, that supports your values. I mean, it really is. I'm not fucking with you. This is really great shaving stuff. It's better product, cheaper product. I mean, that's really all I got to tell you. And you're a silly goose if you use anything otherwise. But yeah, I do also, if you guys want to support what I'm doing, you can support me over at patreon.com/NoWayJose2020. The lowest level is $2. That gets you the early access to the episodes, like the Vegas episode recently. I'm behind a little bit right now, so I actually don't have one. So sorry. But you also, on these Already Deads, if you'd like, you can come on to the call-in portion, and you can be a talking head, kind of like me and Jules are right now. And then also, it gives you an ad-free RSS feed in there as well. I know a lot of people don't like the ads that go along with my podcast host, but I mean, if that's the case, then then just pay me $2 and the ads are gone. If anything, I might actually lose money on that. But yeah, the highest levels of my sponsors, I read them off every episode. My co-host on Tower Gang, at Tower Gang Toad. Also have at Abrogate D's. Also at ZOVRACK, at _Infinite Zeal. Also have Tim Tuttle, at Jollyland Cleveland. Then Will Bell's Delicious Blueberry Rabbit Eye Wine. Then big fan of the show, Torrin May. And then at INWARD Lover. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. If you are listening to this on an audio podcatcher, please leave us a 5-star review. It helps out a lot. But yeah, make sure you hit that like button. Follow me on Twitter at Tower Gang Jose. Bobby says, good job, guys. You know what Nadeau cares about? Defending you from Jules in Lexington, Kentucky, because he will suck your dick.
I don't know when that happened, but all right, man.
Yeah. I totally forgot. Okay. All right. Anyways, guys, we're getting out of here. Fire episode, Jose and Jules. Love you guys. Oh, saying they love you. Thanks,
Love
guys.
you, everybody.
With that, guys, we're out of here. Deuces. Watch out. Don't go to any glory holes in Kentucky because you might find Jules there. And with that, we're done. Deuces.
Try to suck you off, man.